What up? Welcome back. This is video number 2 on Saturday, day 198 of Dave's Daily Discussions. You know me. I'm Dave. Just wanted to bring a lick. Wow, I said bring and lick. Bring a little quick video as I'm driving, listening to a song, and I'm thinking it's something along the lines of things that I've talked about in regards to fear and believing. Fear is a powerful thing. Oh, I heard it in the intro of a Dr. Dre song in the Compton album. It said, fear is a powerful thing. It can stop you dead in your tracks. It has stopped all of us at some point dead in our tracks. It's got a lot of firepower, and that's what they say in that song. It's a powerful thing. It's got a lot of firepower. But if you can figure out a way to take it, harness it, and allow it to project you forward, you face that fear, and you face it all, and you rise up, and you punch it in the mouth, nothing can stop you. The best feeling in the world is to overcome a fear. A little story for you. My whole life, not my whole life, but a majority of my life up until about 2015 or so, I had a major fear of large roller coasters. I had gotten on a couple. At Cedar Point, I enjoyed Iron Dragon, not a major one. I was scared the first time I got on it. But one of the biggest ones that I had ridden, it scared me a bit. I wasn't ready for it. Gemini, years ago when I was younger, 7 or 8 years old maybe. I cried, I felt sick, I didn't understand it. I felt out of control, I didn't like it. Over the years, I would always have dreams about roller coasters. I would have a dream consistently, every few weeks I would have a dream about the Millennium Force after it was built. I wanted to ride the Millennium Force because I always heard how good it was, but I was afraid. That first hill, the entire ride is great. That first hill, it's that hill when you're dropping and you feel it in your stomach and you're out of control and there's nothing you can do. And you fight it. And when you fight it, it makes it worse. So I got involved with a girl who ended up being my second fiance. We were together for quite a few years, and we were talking for a while, and we were getting closer. And one of the major things I'm thankful for, besides getting my dogs from her, one of the major things that I'm thankful for is we were together, and she randomly on one day, she said, "Hey, let's go for a drive." And I'm like, okay, that's fine. It was like a Sunday or something like that, Saturday or Sunday. Cedar Point season was about to come up. She didn't say anything. She just said, "Let's just go for a drive." So we're in the car, I'm riding, she's driving, and I can tell where we're going, the direction. I'm like, what do you got up your sleeve? What are we doing? She's like, "Oh, we're just going for a drive. I just wanted to look." She did hot weekends for many years. She said, let's just drive over here." And I'm like, what did you do? And she's like, "Nothing, we're just going for a drive." And I just had a feeling in my stomach oh man, my biggest fear throughout, besides the roller coasters itself, the big ones, biggest fear was having to face friends, girls, anybody, and then realize that I was a chicken and that I couldn't get over the fear of being on a big roller coaster. It was a thing that it bothered me because friends wouldn't want to invite me to come out to Cedar Point. I would go with groups of people and I would just sit there and while they would ride rides. And it sucked. I've went to the amusement parks with girlfriends, with, fiancés, with friends, and it's a very bad feeling to know that, this fear is not allowing me to go have fun with these guys, and that's why I'm here to have fun. And I look stupid. So, that fear is there. We pull up to the park, and she parks, and I'm like, "Well, what are you doing?" And she's like, "Open the glove box." I open it, and I open up the envelope, and there's a voucher for a platinum pass and a drink plan or something like that. She's like, I bought you a pass. A family friend bought my pass this year, so I wanted to buy you one. And I was very grateful and thankful, but I was like, I have to be honest with you. I said, I have a fear of roller coasters. She's like, that's not a big deal. We don't have to ride anything major. And I told her what I rode. And I was like, I told her exactly what I just told you guys. Same thing. That I had a fear that I really wanted to. I told her about the dream with Millennium Force that I always wanted to ride it. And she's like, well, if we go and you don't want to ride anything, not a big deal. If we go and you want to ride stuff, great, cool. And so we did. We got the passes and we went. And I started reading up because I knew that we were going to go opening weekend. And I was on Google looking up, like, how do I get over this fear of riding big roller coasters? It sounds silly, but I figured it out. I found some different ways. Like it said, like, don't fight it. Don't look up at the ride before you get on it. Don't look down while you're on the ride. Just take a deep breath as you're about to go down that big hill. And all those things. Like, I read a ton of tips on how to get over that fear. So I know that it was like Thursday. I know the next day or that day that we're going. And then out of nowhere, I hear that one of my now best friends, Corey, is going to be coming. And I might have met him once or so beforehand, and I knew that he was coming with us. And I'm like, well, great. So we have a person, another guy to boot, coming. And I am afraid to ride coasters, and I know that those two are big coaster fanatics. So I'm like, well, this is going to be fun. So we got there before him. He wasn't there yet. And we went and we did Iron Dragon. And I was like, all right, cool, great. And then before we could even do anything else, before I could even get nestled into anything, he was there. We had to meet up with him. And he was like, what are we going to go ride first? And it was the first year that they were unveiling Rougarou. And they were like, well, let's go try Rougarou. And my ex looked at me, and I was like, listen, I have a fear I'm trying to get over, but, you know, let's try it. So, you know, he didn't like, you know, bad mouth me, or he didn't like, you know, make fun of me, because that probably would have like made it really tough. But I was like, let's go give it a shot. So we got in line. It was a long line. We waited like, you know, an hour or so. You know, opening weekend, first day of the new ride, revamped ride being open. And we get up there, and where are we gonna ride? And he's like, let's go front seat. Let's go first row. And I was terrified. I was petrified to do front row. Like, I'm already getting on a ride that I've never been on before. I've always wanted to ride it before it was revamped, but I was afraid to, especially because I had the loop in it. I didn't know how to feel about that. So we get up there, and I'm like, all right, fine, let's do front row. I am just pale. I'm white as a ghost. I am terrified. We get on the ride. We're sitting there. It feels like an hour as we're sitting in the seats getting ready to get sent off. We get sent off. I am thinking like, all right, everything that you learned. Don't look up. Don't look down. Just, you know, all those things. And I did it. Going through. First hill was coming. That climb was the scariest part, but I just kept, you know, I kept looking forward. I didn't look down. First hill comes up. I take the deep breath and let it out as we're going down. And my ex was like holding my hand tight. She was looking at me like terrified. She's like, this could make or break like the coasters for him. Like, he's getting thrusted into this thing. And she knew that I was afraid. And the fear just went out of me. And I loved it. And then I got over that fear. That year, I went on a tour of riding every single coaster that I could, front row, with her. That year, I tackled Millennium Force. I tackled it first time. I think I was like third or fourth row with a buddy. And then later that night, I did front row with her. Millennium Force was super scary, especially going up that first hill. I took the deep breath. It doesn't totally help with Millennium Force, but I finally rode Millennium Force. And it was the most freeing feeling I ever had in my life. I haven't rode the dragster yet. I don't know if I ever will or not, potentially. But Millennium Force, I had dreams. I want to say hundreds of dreams about riding Millennium. I literally knew what it looked like, and all I could dream about is riding it. And I was like, all I have to do is get past that first big hill, and then after that, it's nothing. So when I got on that ride and I went through it, I felt free and great. And the whole point of that story is that I took a fear that held me down and beat me down and held me back for years. Listen, I was early 20s. I was mid-20s. And my whole life I allowed a fear to hold me back from something that I now love, riding roller coasters. I've ridden Millennium Force maybe 30 to 50 times now in a couple years. You know, it's been 5 or 6 years or so, maybe longer. And I fell in love. I mean, I went to, you know, Cedar Point. I've ridden pretty much all the rides there for the most part, hundreds of times now. Fell in love with it. All that lost time I'm making up for. Everybody's like, oh, it's Cedar Point. Oh, we live around here. No, I missed years of riding those rides. Go down to Kings Island down in Mason, Ohio, Cincinnati. Went down to Florida, and I enjoyed Disney. I enjoyed Universal. I enjoyed Busch Gardens, all their coasters down there. And then all the coasters I put on, I haven't been on Steel Vengeance yet at Cedar Point, but that fear, I got over it. I moved past it. And the whole point of this whole thing, like I said, is do not allow fear to get in front of you. You believe in yourself, because if you say that you can't do something and you hold yourself back, nothing else matters. You are not going to succeed. You are not going to grow. You are not going to prosper past anything if you don't believe in yourself and you don't push yourself past that fear. So you look that fear, you look that thing in the face that scares you. And I know it's not an easy thing, but I did it. I did it, and I try to do that every single day. That's why I'm such a driven person. My life was changed forever after that day that I got on that first roller coaster, Rougarou, front row, and I fell in love with that fear. I took that fear and I punched it in the mouth, and after that I started riding every coaster that I could front row, and I fell in love with it. Something that scared and terrified me became something so free and so fulfilling. My motorcycle, I have a motorcycle that half the time I'm afraid to ride because I know that if something happens, I'm dead. For the most part, probably dead. I get on that thing and I ride it. And again, not like a roller coaster, but it's a different feeling. The most free feeling you could feel in the world is riding on a motorcycle. Being on a roller coaster, and just somebody who like me, who loves to be in control, who I love driving. I don't like riding in cars. I prefer to drive because I'm in control of what's going on. I don't like to go anywhere and not have the car and my own car, because I can't, if there's a situation, I'm stuck. I can't, I gotta call somebody. Same thing with a roller coaster. You're on a roller coaster, you're out of control. But I found a way to relinquish, and it was a major lesson to me in life to not have to hold on and be in control all the time, to just relax and just enjoy things. Relax and just let things happen. There's times to be in control, and there's times to grab life by the horns, and there's other times that you just go along for the ride on the lazy river. You have to find that fine line, but do not allow fear to keep you on that lazy river all the time. Do not allow that fear to keep you from doing what you really want to do. There's so many of us to have so many things that we want to be successful in, that we want to try, but we're afraid to raise our hand to answer a question in school. We're afraid to go into that store by ourselves when we're a teenager. We're afraid to go out and try new things or speak up and say something when we know the answer to it. We feel like we're going to look foolish. We feel like we might be wrong because we're insecure about it. We're afraid to go do something because we might think that somebody else is going to judge us or look at us differently. It doesn't matter what him, her, anybody else around you sees, thinks, or says, because we're all going through it. If they judge you, doesn't matter. For the most part, most of those people you're probably never going to see again anyway. If they judge you, you're probably not going to see them again. And if you know them and they judge you, well, they're probably not worth having around you. People who care about you and people who are great people do not judge and hold things against you. They empower you, and they tell you to do those things. So the story of me getting over my fear of roller coasters and somebody empowering me to do it, two people helping me get past that fear and giving me confidence, saying that I could do it, me believing in myself and telling me that I can do it from the first start to even get there. You, me, any of you, you can accomplish, you can do anything, even if you think it's impossible. Everything was impossible at one point until somebody accomplished it. It's only impossible until you do it. It's a mindset. Fear makes things seem impossible, but if you think about it, it can be done. It's in your head. So just go for it. Just wanted to bring this little video to you guys on video number 2 of the day. I'm really happy about this one. I had no clue what I was going to talk about. I knew that I wanted to talk about fear and success and things like that and believing in ourselves, but I never even had a thought that I was going to talk about that story. And I tell you, even talking about it right now, I can feel that day, and it's a feeling that I will never forget. It's a feeling that I will always cherish, even though things didn't go, well with me and my ex, and things went the way they went. I, try not to badmouth. I try, I've moved on, but I am very thankful. I have my 2 beautiful dogs because of that journey in life that I took with her, and I also got over that fear of roller coaster. So I'm so very thankful for that, and for that, I hope it's a story that all you guys can see and you can feel and you can know that no matter what it is that you fear, you can get past it if you believe in yourself and you just do it. All it takes is once. And then after that, it's all gravy. Thank you for tuning in for another day, guys. I love y'all so much for tuning in. And I will see you guys on Self Love Sunday.